Hey, this is Tom Nash, and in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what's going on right now with Chinese companies, specifically Alibaba, with renewed delisting fears. Now, first of all, I have to explain something to you. There's really an oligopoly in the whole accounting scene. There's only 4 companies that actually control, I would guess, 99.9% of the public companies' accounting auditing practice. KPMG, EY, PwC, and Deloitte. And there's others, but mainly if you're a public company listed on the US stock exchange, most likely you're using one of these 4. And it's kind of a given. Now, there used to be 5, one more called Arthur Andersen. That company went down with Enron. That's a whole different story. Might be a video in itself. Comment below if you want to hear about that, how it used to be the big 5. Actually, Arthur Andersen used to be the biggest, but now we're back to the big 4. Now, I actually specifically work for one of these big 4 companies for a long time, so I know how things work. And just to explain something to you, I didn't actually audit financials. I actually worked for another department that did transaction services, due diligence, tax planning, stuff like that. But I know how these things work. And the way they work is very, very simple. The accountants that audit your financials are operating based on representations. So basically, when you are giving your data to the auditors do not go and re-verify every single number, bank statement, and whatnot, and the underlying numbers you're providing. They're basically saying, if the numbers you gave me are correct, the way you present these based on GAAP or US GAAP or IFRS, whatever that may be, is accurate. Unless the accountants or the auditors in this case have a suspicion, they're not going to look into the underlying numbers to check if there's actually any fraud. And a lot of fraud cases got exposed, and a lot of accountants and auditors never really caught them. Usually the ones who catch them is somebody else, because this isn't really what auditors do. Now, mainly, here's the big problem. With auditors, there's this kind of weird relationship between auditors and companies. On the one hand, the company is a client. On the other hand, the fiduciary duty of an auditor is not to its client, but rather to the truth. So it's a weird hybrid relationship where somebody's paying you money, but essentially saying, hey, I don't owe nothing to you. It's a very problematic relationship. Let's put it this way. But the reason I'm saying to you this whole spiel, rant, whatever the hell you want to call it, is because there's only 5 words in the English language that actually terrify the fuck out of Chinese companies. The Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. Now, these motherfuckers, they look into the underlying numbers. They verify shit. They're the sheriff. They're the ones who look into this and make sure there's no lefufuing going on. No monkey business, no bullshit. They'll come in and they'll check. And if you actually are listed on the US stock exchange and you're reporting on US GAAP, you are being supervised by the PCAOB. What have you done for me? Hey, no intro. But all that is true unless you're a Chinese company, because Chinese companies refuse systematically to get audited and to get regulated by the PCAOB. Why? I don't know. But here's the crazy part. Up until just a few years ago, the US regulators pretty much said, okay. Now, finally, the SEC came out and said, hey, guys, you have 3 years to comply with this bullshit. If you're not going to show us your books and you're not going to let us review and regulate what the hell you're putting in there, we're just not going to let you stay on our US stock exchanges. You can go home. And you got 3 years. Now, this is basically what's driving Alibaba down, because the SEC came out and basically said, hey, we're adding Alibaba to the list of companies that are basically candidates for delisting. Now, here's the thing, and I want to be very clear about this. Ask yourself this question. Imagine you have 2 options. Option number 1, let somebody verify there's no accounting fraud in your company. Option number 2, do not allow that, disagree, and get delisted. Why would you agree to get delisted if there's no accounting fraud in your documentation and reporting? I mean, the principle alone isn't worth that, right? Think about the amount of damage, the amount of carnage these companies will go through if they actually get delisted. But if they have nothing to hide or nothing to fear, why would they agree to get shellacked like that? For me, this shit doesn't add up. However, it seems that there's others who tend to disagree. So I pulled up this Seeking Alpha article for you. Alibaba, the delisting fears are back. Time to turn bullish again from JR Research. So this is from Seeking Alpha. Let's read the article. So summary, Alibaba was struck by delisting fears again on July 29th as the US SEC added China's leading e-commerce players to its delisting list. As a result, Baba slumped. However, check this. This mother lover says, we urge investors not to overreact to such fears. Alibaba is seeking a primary listing in Hong Kong that would enable it to access capital and liquidity from Chinese investors. So basically what this guy is saying, hey, so this company is about to get delisted because they're not willing to show their financials to somebody who will actually look into them. But don't worry, they're going to list somewhere else where there's no such regulation, which is Hong Kong, which is pretty much dominated and owned by China at this point. So imagine that. How, in what world, forget how, in what world does this make sense to you? To say, well, I feel good about this company, It's not allowing anybody to review that there's no accounting fraud there, but I feel good because they can fund elsewhere where it's not going to be enforced. Is this bizarre world? What's going on? I mean, come on. Now, look at this shit. We also believe that the recent statements by Politburo, which suggest that China could miss its 5.5 GDP growth target, could have unsettled some investors. Now, mind you that, it's a known thing in the industry. The GDP numbers out of China are primarily based on their property market, which is pretty much a Ponzi scheme. There's no two ways about it. The greater fool theory makes it look like it's a complete bullshit operation. There's apartments in ghost cities that basically get sold for more and more profit, and this bubble is basically driving this whole GDP numbers up. So the whole Chinese GDP numbers from the get-go don't make no sense. That's assuming even if they are reporting it correctly, which is a questionable assumption to make about Chinese reporting. So basically they're saying, this could have unsettled some investors. My guy, I mean, that's a deal breaker for any normal investor, in my opinion. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a layman. Layman Tom. Of course, this is not financial advice. Just a layman. My opinion might be inaccurate, might be wrong, might be randomness of amendment. As always, don't click nothing, don't smash nothing, don't buy nothing. Let's keep going. So, notwithstanding, we believe it sets up Baba very well heading to its upcoming Q1 card on August 4th. How does this, in what world, everything you just said about this company sets it up well in any kind of objective parameter? I just don't understand. Therefore, we revise our rating from hold to buy. So basically, these motherfuckers are about to get delisted and GDP is slowing down in China, assuming it's even correct. And they're saying, well, it makes us more bullish. This is just insane. Woo, this is crazy. I don't know if you want to read this whole thing. Oh my goodness. In our June downgrade, we caution investors that we noted significant selling pressure at this critical resistance zone, 125. Just to kind of clarify this, we're at like $89 right now. So yeah, the resistance has fallen. And urge them to avoid adding at those levels. Despite the sharp recovery from its May lows, we're concerned that the market could use the bullish sentiment. Yeah, it's more of a trading stuff. I don't understand trading, bro. I invest. I don't trade. So might go up, might go down short term. You might make a lot of money trading the stock or shorting it or trading it, whatever. I don't do this shit. I don't understand nothing about it. It's not my cup of tea, not my wheelhouse at all. So basically, they're talking more about the GDP being overblown. I don't think the GDP thing with China being overblown, that's a major issue. But that's a whole different discussion. Yeah. Okay, so this is interesting. Citi's latest commentary was favorable of the move by Alibaba to seek a primary listing in Hong Kong. We view the move as a positive given the continued overhang on ADRs from the threat of delisting. Well, it's so freaking crazy that this entire paragraph is just basically regurgitated bullshit as being spewed by the Chinese government with almost no mention of the fact that this delisting is not coming because of people hating China or ADRs. It's because these Chinese companies will not allow the PCAOB to actually review their financials like any other company in the US actually has to do. So not a lot of shocks there. Investors could be concerned with the downbeat Q1 earnings. whatever. Is Baba stock a buy, sell, or hold? Yeah, that's the bottom line here. So basically, they're saying, so yeah, crazy, 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 crazy. Look, okay, they're saying it should not go below 73. Who knows at this point? I don't know, and it's actually none of my business. I don't care about short-term trading. But let's talk about Alibaba here for a second. Let's real talk, okay? Real talk. Why do people who own Alibaba enjoy inflicting themselves with wounds and self-pain and horror? You're literally investing in a stock that is constantly hanging on the edge of the freaking cliff, trying to hold on. Why would you do it to yourself when there's so many other options? I mean, come on. Not to mention the fact we talked about in a separate video, the demographic crisis. We talk about the real estate market. We talk about all this bullshit. What if China actually goes to war with Taiwan? What's going to happen with U.S. sanctions? You saw what happened to Russia. I mean, there's so many risks here. It's basically a communist totalitarian regime, centralistic government that is sponsoring IP theft from Western companies for years and years and years. And even Charlie Munger, who was super bullish on it, I think sold half a stock, if I believe correctly. It's not a bad company, Alibaba in itself, but it's in China, which means it has to deal with all this bullshit, which means for me it's uninvestable. I mean, this is a country that literally imprisoned Jack Ma, went at Tencent, destroyed DD Global for reasons, I mean, we don't even understand half the shit they do sometimes. It's just crazy. It's a whim of some weird politician, and you got to take it. It's worse than crypto. People like give me shit for saying I don't like physical wallets and I like to keep my crypto on the place where I can recover my password. So not your, not your key, not your Bitcoin. My guy, if you invest in China, first of all, investing in the VIE, not in China, but that's a whole different story. Let's say you invest in China. It's not your stock. It's the Chinese government. They can do with it whatever they want. So for me, this is a weird article. I don't understand the point of this. I would just, reiterate my own opinion. Check for yourself the logic, right? If somebody's coming up to you saying, hey, just show me your license. A couple's over, right? The car. They're like, show me your license. Just show me your license. That's it. And you can go. Or if you don't show me your license, then it means I don't have you. Like as in my column of people who I checked today and they have a license, that means that if I can't see it, I can't verify it, you have to go to jail tonight and potentially to court and get into serious trouble. So just show me the freaking thing for a second and drive off. I don't want to do this. And then the guy says, no, I'm not going to show you. It's my constitutional right not to show you. Okay, motherfucker. That's the kind of thing that we have here. So it's either China is super morally uncompromisable that they will not allow Westerners to look at their financials, or option number two, which is there's a lot of shenanigans in those financials they don't want the Western world to see. Whatever it is, comment below, let me know. See you in the next video.